So in this particular song production process, I've got my comp. Ford and I liked it. So the next playlist you see here, number 12, is a tuning playlist. I used auto tune, and lightly tuned a few things, and then committed that, and that's yeah, that's what we have. Actually, it is playlist 13 and 12 are the same thing. I'm not sure why duplicate was made of 12, but they're the same. So let me switch back to that. And one further point that I should make, and this is not just for vocals, this is for anything. If you make a change, if you do any editing, tuning, replacement, always make a new playlist. Always have a way to go back. Always be able to review your work, and keep a record of the work. Don't if I'm going to make some edits on this track, I'm going to make a new playlist. I don't want to lose each stage of the process. That's very important to be able to take a step back and know, like, where I got this line for verse 2 from. And I know because I have this playlist that says it's from take 8. Because maybe when I listen to the final tuned vocal with Ford, he's like, I'm not sure about that line there. And well, I know that take 8 is not one of the ones I should be listening to. But it's also a good reference. It's like, oh, well, around take 8, so maybe I should listen to 7 or 9 or whatever. It's just good to have a way to go back. Or if you make edits, like to the drums, because maybe you edit the drums and it's feeling better, but the drum fill that goes into chorus 2 feels a little bit stiff. Maybe it was kind of a little bit over edited or not edited quite the right way. Well, if you don't have a playlist to go back to of where the take was and see how it was edited, then it may be hard to get back to what originally felt great. So it's just really important and stress that. So we've talked a little bit about how we arrived at the basic take and replaced Ford's essential elements, his guitar and vocal. So once I had a comped and tuned vocal, then it's time to do harmonies. Sometimes you can do harmonies before you maybe make a comp or do whatever editing you might think is necessary. If the vocal is, if you have a few vocals that feel great, and you don't really feel like it's going to change a little bit, but not a lot. The placement and pocket of the vocal is pretty good. You just kind of choose a best take and then proceed putting some harmonies on it. In this case, I know that I made a composite, a comp, and then did a little bit of minor tuning to it, and then it was time to sing the background vocals. Now, I like to use most of the time, when I'm doing a harmony vocal, I like to use a different microphone than what I used on the lead vocal. The lead vocal microphone is a Flea 47, U47, so it's a Telefunken U47 copy. It's a great sounding mic made in Eastern Europe, pretty much with identical parts and specs. It's a great sounding mic. And let me just also, since I'm talking about the microphone that's on the vocal, on the acoustic guitar, we used a Mojave Audio. I believe it's an M200. Yep, it's an M200, which is the cardioid. It's a single pattern cardioid condenser microphone. So those are the two microphones that we use on acoustic and vocal. Then on the harmony vocal, I don't remember what I used, honestly, but it was a different mic. I think we used an advanced audio U67 copy. So the next thing that we did is I arranged. We picked out a harmony vocal.
So, what are you gonna do? What's pulling you through? Girl, what's left to lose? Oh yeah, if it's alright, I could stay by your side. I could hold you all night, hold you all night.
So this single harmony voice enters in the first pre-chorus, sings the first chorus, does the same thing for the second pre-chorus and second chorus, and then for the third chorus there is another voice.
So, what are you gonna do? What's pulling you through? Girl, what's left to lose?
Now it's not an additional harmony part. It's a double of the harmony part that's there. But what I wanted to do in this last chorus is I wanted to add energy to the production and to the dynamic arrangement of the song. And so let me play this second harmony vocal for you.
So, what are you gonna do? So, what are you gonna do?
So what I did there is I turned off, there's a little bit of a reverb send on there, but I wanted to show you that it's not just a plug-in reverb that's creating the reverb sound. We pulled the microphone out of the recording studio space, the more controlled space, and there's like a hallway and a kitchen next to it. So we pulled the microphone out in the hallway and had Ford stand back from it for a few feet and sing out in the sort of kitchen dining room area, just to kind of. And I also asked him to sing out a little bit more, so that it's just a louder voice. I kind of wanted to hear the room more, and by singing louder, you kind of get a little bit more room tone. But it also just adds this energy and this lift and excitement. So I'm gonna play this third chorus without that second harmony vocal. The room, it's like performed reverb, really. That's the way I like to think about it. It's how you can get that extra dimension of sound, but you can do it in a different way where it adds a unique energy to the production. I mean, I've done that quite a few times. Kings of Leon, we did that on the Only by the Night record on a few songs. There's a chamber vocal in the bridge of James Bay's Hold Back the River that uses this technique. Niall Horan's record, Flicker, especially on that song, on the song Flicker, there at the end of the song there is I'm not sure if it's a harmony or if it's a vocal double, but I had him sing in the chamber, or this same effect. So I'm going to play the third chorus without the second or the reverb harmony, and then I'll turn it on.
So, what are you gonna do? What's pulling you through? Girl, what's left to lose? Oh yeah, if it's alright.
So I added it in, and then I turned off the first track of harmony, which is close mic'd in a much deader, more controlled space, and you can hear the size of the room, and the energy is a bit different, and the natural reverb that I captured. It's just kind of a fun and easy thing to do, and you really are able to coach the singer to give you something a little bit extra that you couldn't really get by simply sending a recorded vocal to an effect. I mean, certainly that's a cool idea, and you can get a lot of interesting things to happen that way. But this is just kind of it's a really interesting and easy technique that's going to be completely unique to whatever space that you're recording in, or however you deem to do it.
So, what are you gonna do? What's pulling you through? Girl, what's left to lose? Oh yeah, if it's alright.
So there was a little bit with the lead vocal turned off as well, just to be able to hear that a little bit more. Okay, so those were our first additional overdubs. Obviously we overdubbed the acoustic and vocal, but those were part of our tracking session. So then the next thing that we did, I'm actually, well, it's slightly out of sequence, but Ian, who played the drums, and I apologize, the harmony vocals were not the first overdubs. The acoustic guitar, second acoustic guitar, and this, as you can see, it's called a tipple. A tipple is it's a very small acoustic instrument. I'm not exactly sure. It's about the size of a ukulele, and it's a multi-stringed instrument, meaning that I believe it's like a mandolin in that it has 4 sets of doubled strings. It's kind of a cross between a mandolin and a ukulele, really. It's just a really cool little instrument. And adding it to the chorus. It's playing a very similar, not exact to the main acoustic, but it adds a bit of sparkle and different voicing and dimension to the track. So let's play the chorus without it first, and then I'll turn it on.
So, what are you gonna?
I'll start that again. So I'm gonna play the chorus without it, and then turn it on.
So, what are you gonna do? What's pulling you through? Girl, what's left to lose? Oh yeah.
And then there's also this acoustic guitar. It's a little bit of a picky, strummy part. Ian would have recorded these parts actually the same day. So this additional acoustic guitar and the tipple would have been recorded after Ford replaced the acoustic guitar, before Ford replaced the lead vocal and the harmony vocals were done. So I was incorrect about that, but so let's just hear both of those come in. Now I want to point out, you may be wondering, well, why at this point are things panned where they are? You've got both of these additional acoustic guitars coming in on the right side, sort of at all the way. The tipple is all the way to the right, and then the second acoustic guitar is just a little bit over to the right from the center. It's because in the final mix, the electric guitar that Jed Hughes added for the choruses and bridge is all the way to the left, and that's just that was a good balance. So once we get those in, it'll probably make a little bit more sense. And if in case you were wondering why they're placed the way they are right now, that's why. So once more, here is I'm gonna play the end of chorus 1, the turnaround, and then the arrangement also had the acoustic guitar stay in for verse 2. That's really the only. I believe that's really the only instrumental instrument choice change in verse 2, but you just want to give that second verse a little bit of you know, additional musicality. Just it's a modest arrangement, and there's you know, we have just a couple acoustic guitars, a couple electric guitars, an organ. There's a harmonica at the end, and a couple harmony parts, or a harmony part that's doubled at the end, and that's, you know, that's enough to make this particular arrangement, to help it evolve and change. You know, well, we can talk about that a little bit more, but you know, the second verse is set apart from the first verse because we have this acoustic guitar playing through it.
Your knees and leaves you begging, please let me go. But maybe what matters isn't what you believe, just getting what you need when you're low. Thought you had something that mattered, but it don't matter now.
Now, it doesn't necessarily offer us a much different part. It's sort of loosely doubling the main acoustic, but it just gives us a little bit more of a stereo image, just a little bit more more content. It just makes the track feel like it's developing. So let's get to the chorus here.
So what are you gonna do? What's pulling you through? Girl, what's left to...
That tipple guitar is really the thing that says, hey, that's one of the things about the arrangement that says, hey, this is the chorus. It extends and enhances the voicings and the rhythm of the acoustic guitar, and it just has a really nice feeling. So the next overdubs would have been Jed Hughes playing electric guitar. So as you can see, Jed Hughes electric guitar, we have a note in here that says it's a telly. Let's give that a listen, and then I'll solo it up and we'll sort of talk about that a little bit.
So what are you gonna do? What's pulling you through? Girl, what's left to lose? Oh yeah, if it's alright, I could stay by your side, I could hold you on.
So a couple things to talk about there are that Jed is playing off what Ian did on the tipple. It complements it and plays off of it. It makes for a very nice spread. He's playing some different voicings, and then in the turnaround, Jed plays essentially what is like a single line version of what Ford plays in the intro, and just it brings back that theme, but reinforces it in a different and new way, and then it reinforces that that's a thematic part of the song that we are hearing over and over again. And then Jed also played this guitar in the bridge, but very, very, very simply. And then so at that point we also added a second electric guitar, where he's kind of playing a little bit of an arpeggiation, and this is where in the bridge the tipple has gone away, and we're balancing out the stereo image with a second guitar part, and I'll play that again. It's a little bit different. It sort of starts the main electric guitar is just kind of playing almost just like little gentle ring out chords, and then its electric guitar partner that's on the right hand side is starting I believe on the same note, but then playing a little bit of an arpeggiation. for the most part, the guitar that's on the left, the sort of the main guitar track, you can hear a delay that's kind of creating a second note. He's playing occasionally, he's kind of like playing some additional little stuff, but then the second guitar is playing notes off of the delayed notes that are on this guitar. So it just kind of makes it just kind of nice, and they're played quietly, and there's reverb through the amp. And I've added additional reverb, but I'm going to turn off the effect sends so you can hear them as they're recorded. I'm a big believer in recording the sounds that you want to hear in your final mix. And now obviously I add reverb and delay to stuff to accentuate it and fill out the stereo image and make it feel more finished and polished in the final mix. But with things like, especially with guitar and keyboard, if you want to have delay and reverb on them, I think that's the time to do it. It's what defines it's sort of what starts to define the production and the recording and the vibe of the song. And you're not leaving all that decision making up till later. I wouldn't record with effects on a lead vocal because you never know fully how much reverb is going to be a good thing, or what kind of reverb, or you might want to change it for certain sections. You may not want to have as much reverb on the verse as you do on the chorus, so forth and so on. Typically with guitar parts or keyboard parts, you're recording them for specific parts, specific sounds, for specific sections. A vocal, on the other hand, is going to be, it's going to be singing the whole song. Other than where we've already specifically talked about, where I purposely had Ford sing out in the live room, or where I purposely had Ford sing out in the kitchen so that we had more of an ambient sound. That was a very purposeful decision, but that would not be typically the way that I would do a main vocal. And then I've added some delay and reverb. Let's see. Added delay to the main guitar, and I've also panned it over to the other side. I'll turn it up so you can kind of hear it a little bit more exaggerated. Just an eighth note delay. Something very simple. Rolled a little bit of the top end off so that it feels a little bit darker and it sits back. It's not as forward feeling as the main guitar. And as you can see, there's no feedback on it in this particular case. I just wanted a single repeat because the guitar part is a bit busy and rolls around a little bit, and it's not really necessarily a consistent pattern where it's very specific that I would want to have the delay interacting. I just want one like a simple little repeat, just like an early kind of reflection feel over there. Just turning it off in the stereo field so you can kind of feel it. Now what I'll do is I'll play the song again, and I'll turn the delay off so you can just kind of feel how it changes. The feeling of, you won't hear the delay really distinctly in the mix, but you get a sense of the dimension that it adds without really being terribly audible, without it being terribly audible on the right hand side.
What are you gonna do? What's pulling you through? Girl, what's left to lose? Oh yeah. It's alright, I could stay by your side.
Like I said, it's kind of subtle in that you don't hear the distinct delays in the same way that you do when I solo the guitar up and turn that delay up a little bit. But you definitely feel a shift in the presence and dimension and the participation it has in the track. So, and then on the and then it also has a bit of reverb on it too. And what I'm using, so I showed you the delay, which is just a simple stock plug-in delay with Pro Tools, the medium delay, and then I'm using a plate reverb to send a little bit of both of these electric guitars to a little bit of reverb. Here, I can turn that up too, but I'll turn it up on this second guitar. So we'll come back to some more of these mixing type things, but I thought that those were some important things to show you about the way that the electric guitars were working in the arrangement and the placement of things, because we started to talk about the way the tipple and the acoustic were kind of panned off to the right. Okay, so and even in the last chorus we have yet another acoustic guitar, which I sort of forgot about.
What's left to lose? Oh yeah, if it's alright, I could stay by your side. I could hold you all night, hold you all night.
And here again, this third acoustic guitar is put in the third chorus just to sort of help the size of things, just to reinforce the main rhythm, because it's played up high with a capo and just a sort of a very straight strumming pattern. It just sort of helps elevate the feel of everything and add energy and excitement to it. But it's not the same. It's not the same voicing, as you can kind of hear what we're doing as we're adding parts. Especially like these acoustic guitar parts, they're not playing the same thing. And even if they are, as in terms of the main acoustic guitar that sort of doubles what Ford's doing, it's not doing exactly the same thing. It's matching some of it and taking some liberties. The voicings are a little bit different. I'm not trying to double and reinforce in the same way that I might with like electric guitars and rhythm guitars in a chorus of maybe a rock song. I'm trying to find a playful way to sort of expand the stereo field and the harmonic content of things. That's why putting a capo on the guitar and kind of playing it up high, playing that higher voicing, it just kind of adds in the same way that the room background vocal adds energy and excitement. That's kind of what I'm looking for. Just like as the song progresses, something new comes in for that last chorus, makes the guitars feel more full. Jed is the difference between the way Jed is playing this third chorus on the electric guitar, this main electric guitar. So there's a difference in dynamic. He's playing harder. It's a little bit more distorted. It's a little bit more forceful sounding. He's filling in a little bit more. He's kind of sticking to a similar theme, but as the choruses progress, he's digging in more. He's filling the part in a little bit more. It's getting a little more complicated. And so as the structure is progressing, I'm having the arrangement progress, and I'm adding things in to kind of keep making it grow. The last two elements I want to introduce into the arrangement and production are a keyboard, an organ sound, and a harmonica that plays at the very end. My inspiration for these parts and sort of my feeling, there's an element of this song. I can't really put my finger on it, and I didn't go and do the research to find out if I was right or what song it was in particular. But this song gave me a bit of a Bob Dylan feel, like that sort of 60s, 70s, Bob Dylan feel. And So a couple interesting things that I remember from some of those, listening to some of those records. Well, Bob Dylan played harmonica, and Ford plays harmonica. So I thought, well, that that feels like maybe an interesting instrument choice for this song. Would feel familiar, and it could be a nice element. And then also, I felt like there's a lot of, in the chorus, there's a lot of busy rhythm that's going on, which feels great. I really like it, but but everything has a bit of a strummy, busy feel to it, and I really felt like I was missing a little bit of just atmosphere and glue, and I just remember hearing on some Bob Dylan songs, like organ played, and it voiced, like kind of B3 type organ, just voiced very high with very, just mostly just the top drawbars, very sort of icy and like high inversions, and very thin and wispy sounding, and just very, very kind of like almost, not piercing is not the right word, but just very thin and extended, because putting those really bright voices on the keyboard and making them a little bit more static in terms of not as much movement, rhythmic movement, thought that might be a good thing for the chorus, is just to give it a little bit of that glue and a little bit of that extra dimension, and help glue together some of this, these different parts that are happening on the acoustics and electric, because nobody's playing. They're playing parts, but they're not real strict parts. They're a bit, well, loose is not the right word, but they're not strict parts. I'll just say it that way. And they kind of jam around a little bit. They have a little bit of a freer feeling, which I think is totally appropriate for this song and the production. So I was looking for something to kind of glue things together. So let me play you the organ sound in solo, because I've been playing a lot of things in solo, but this in particular is very quiet in the mix, with a decent amount of reverb on it, and that's very intentional, because I don't want it to be an overt and sort of forceful sound. I just kind of want it in there just to sort of like flush the sonics and harmonics of things out, but I don't want it to be very forward. And you'll see once I turn it on, you'll kind of get that. Hopefully, you get the feeling that I was after. So here's the sound on its own. So I added the acoustic guitar in there just for a moment. As you can see, it's kind of playing the changes almost. It's not strictly the vocal melody, but it really feels like the movement, the chord movement and melodic movement of the vocal over the song. So let's just listen to them together.
Oh, what are you gonna do? What's pulling you? What are you gonna do? What's pulling you through? Girl, what's left to lose?
So it's something that's complementary, obviously, to the changes, but then also sort of, it's an instrument that's a little bit more tied to the vocal melody than some of the other things are. So let me play you the track with. In this first, well, it's even quieter in the first chorus. I'll play the second chorus first and then add it in so you can hear it, and then we'll go back and sort of review the first chorus.
So, what are you gonna do? What's pulling you through? Girl, what's left to lose? Oh yeah, if it's alright, I could stay by your side. I could hold you all night, hold you all night.
So I was turning it on and off, so you could I mean it's audible certainly. I mean you hear it, but it's not overt. It's not a strong element. And I was turning it on and off, so hopefully you can kind of get the feeling that it gives me of just making the track and the production have a little bit more depth and a little bit just more glue and just kind of an expansive feeling. And because it's got the reverb it does on it. It just sort of has a cathedral-like feeling. And so let me play you the first chorus where it's turned down a bit. You can see where it's turned down here.
So, what are you gonna do? What's pulling you through? Girl, what's left to lose? Oh yeah, if it's alright.
Especially in the first chorus, it's a lot more felt than heard. I almost hear its effect on the other instruments as much as I hear that instrument itself, and just the way that it colors the other voicings and just adds a little bit more dimension to them. So let's pay attention to that. Let me turn it off, and we'll listen to a little bit of the chorus, and I'll turn it on. You can just kind of hear how your perception of the sonic and harmonic content of the other instruments gets expanded just a little bit.
So, what are you gonna do? What's pulling you through? Girl, what's left to lose? Oh yeah, if it's alright, I could stay by.
To me, I really feel it lift the brightness and sort of not only does it help make the image wider to me, but it lifts the sort of the brightness and the sparkle and interaction of Jed's electric guitar and the harmony vocal, especially. I mean, I think it has an effect on everything, certainly in that way. But those things to me, seem to happen the most. So I'll just give you a little bit of that again.
So, what are you gonna do? What's pulling you through? Girl, what's left?
Okay, so so that this a little bit. I didn't really talk to Ford about my thinking about why I felt inclined to go with those mental references I had, but that's kind of where it came from. And then at the end, when the vocal finishes, we had sort of a longer outro, and in the structure, it felt like a great thing to have this sort of longer outro. I wasn't totally sure at the time when we were tracking what we were going to do. I mean, obviously, it's an opportunity for maybe one of these electric guitar to play a new line, or for the theme to come back, or whatever. But I sort of started to feel like, well, once the vocal finishes, and we've kind of got this similar vibe going on the electrics and acoustics, sort of still sticking in the mode that they've been in. We just need something to introduce a new top line melody, sort of take over from where the voice left off. And the harmonica just felt like a really good choice.
Hold you all night. Hold you all night.
The mood and sort of part that it plays just makes it feel a bit, the song just feel a bit reflective to me. It just makes it a little bit more cinematic, just paints a different picture. And the thing is I still feel like, well, it is Ford. It is it's Ford playing the harmonica, so it's his musical voice. But I sort of still feel his presence, but in a different way. And he's not singing a lyric to me. He's playing a melody to me. that's involved in the song, and it helps. You know, we have this. We have Jed playing on the electric guitar. We have that thematic guitar line there at the end. It's twice as long as we've heard it before, but you know, just having something that's completely fresh and completely new for the outro gives me that feeling of that top line melody from the voice, not necessarily the same melody, but just the feeling of having that that information and that character and that journey at the end of the song. Felt really good on harmonica. That's, you know, that's all our moving parts in the song.